of Desire. The title is The Queen of Hearts. She walked into the room filled with people, cigarette between her lips, exuding confidence, regal indifference. A queen is spinning kings round her shapely fingers. Her long, beautiful toes stirring my mind into poetry. Scrutinizing eyes scanned each face, but a flicker of softness allowed me a peep into a deep valley where the interplay of rays, pink, purple, and scarlet, dazzled me into submission at the altar of exquisite beauty. Lost in heavens, illumined by flashes of lightning, where a word from her is a foothold on slippery moss, I wait for the queen. To accept my surrender, my symphony of controlled passion, creating ripples on still waters. Perhaps one day, my desire will awaken my destiny, and the symphony of sounds, the interplay of colors, will merge with the intoxicating fragrance of her pubic hair, the taste of her armpits, the thin line of blood etched on my chest by her toenail, creating an ecstasy annihilating my identity. This is the title poem of the Anthology of Desire, since all of you want erotic poetry, so.
Well, since we've been accused of wanting erotic poetry, but it's true, the accusation is correct. But does the audience want to hear erotic poetry? Yeah.
Some other kind. Maybe some other kind.
This is your title poem, please.
Anthology of Desire. It was desire self-consuming, blended with the ideal, the romantic, standing under a tree on a hot May afternoon, waiting for a fleeting glimpse as she passed by on a rickshaw. मुझे किसी का इंतजार था वरना किसी दरख्त का साया तुम्हें बहाना था. It transformed into violent desire, naked lust, the smell of sweat, groaning bodies, enacting fantasies, sometimes commonplace, sometimes dark. But now, sublimated desire, disciplined, ritualistic, Zen-like, carefully preparing her morning tea, the leaves boiled just right so that the aroma, the fumes, travel to the brain. Slowly regain their sharpness. Evenings as she sips a whiskey, my hands relaxing her body neck to the toes. The whispers of my heart, the commands of my brain guiding my hands. Her eyes is intoxicated with whiskey and desire, and her perfect lips breaking into a smile, my only reward.
Thank you so much for that, Professor Hamid. I personally truly appreciate the courage it takes to share something very personal and erotic poetry. No, absolutely. And thank you to the audience for being such a welcoming and comfortable audience here. Moving on, we will have interactive conversations as well, but I would like to introduce Madhu, who I've known for almost a decade, but this is the first time we've met. And it was poetry that connected us, and we had our first phone call last week, and it was just a beautiful conversation. It felt like meeting an old friend, as cliched as that may sound, and that was entirely because of poetry. And I'm a huge fan of Madhu's work. So, and like everybody else, I would love to know what got you started on this journey and what keeps you going.
I think so there are 2 pointers to that. Firstly, I'm really grateful. This is the first time I'm reading in the Kumaon region. I've read in the Garhwal region for Valley of Words Festival. This is special. I just want to put it out there. It's special. My fellow poets are special to me. So this being a special occasion, thanks to everyone for being here. And speaking of poetry, I think I write because I cannot do without it. There's no other way. Like even in workshops, में ना कभी-कभी बच्चे ऐसे पूछेंगे कि मतलब कोई कॉलेज में poetry workshop चल रही है, they'll be like, sir, do you want us to be a poet? Or how can we be? Or can I be a poet? I said no. And they'll be like, क्यों आप तो poet बन गए, आप हमें मना कर रहे हो? मतलब मैंने बोला मेरे कहने से तुम अगर नहीं बनोगे तो नहीं बनो. मैं कौन होता हूँ? Like who am I? So it is. I think it goes against many things in society. Your parents firstly go into a state of shock, which takes them for a long time to come back. And because they can't address that, because you can't make a living, supposedly. And that is one of the accusations of poetry in many ways. So you do it despite that. So I think वो होता है ना, लोग पूछते हैं कि आप ये नहीं होते तो क्या होते? तो मैं poet नहीं होता तो कुछ नहीं होता. So there's no other thing. I mean मैं होता नहीं. So I think it comes from there. That it's kind of a jitteriness. There's a beautiful session in the morning which I was lucky to be a part of, sitting here, and they were talking about that. So if the reason, if you have a reason to love, it's not love. So it's like that.
That is beautiful.
So I don't have a reason why I write. Just that I know that मैं बहुत jittery हो जाऊँगा घर पे. Wife will start like यार कुछ लिख ले जा. मतलब it's that kind of. मतलब you're irritated. You're going around like a berserk mad guy. Just even so, yeah. There's no even differentiation about bad writing, good writing. I just have to put something to paper. Otherwise, I'll have to consult someone. So yeah, it's that bad. So I think it goes there. It goes like that. मतलब John Elias साहब की वो, and then I come to English poetry through Urdu poetry weirdly, and people like John Elias, and so तो John Elias साहब का तो मैं जब 2021 का था एक collection थी जो मैंने कभी publish नहीं की, and I'm very happy I did. Those were bad poems. Like for me, I don't judge, but I'm judging myself. So those were bad poems. Thank God I did publish them. I didn't read a lot. I didn't see a lot of contemporary art. I didn't see the past of India. I was too young, to be very frank. So I think तो जॉन एलिया का ये है, तो इससे मेटाफोरिकली मैं कह सकता हूँ कि मेरी अक्ल होश की सब हालतें तुमने सांचे के जुनून में ढाल दी. कर लिया था मैंने अहदे तरके इश्क, मैंने इश्क को मना कर दिया था. कर लिया था मैंने अहदे तरके इश्क, तुमने फिर बाहें गले में डाल दी. So it was like I said no to poetry. I said I'll take up a job. I did that. And then I quit my job at a highest. So I told my parents, सब हो गया ना अभी तुम्हारा, मतलब job करनी थी, degree करनी थी, सब हो गया. Now I'm just quitting everything. So it was like a 5-year hiatus I took and like researched, wrote a lot, and yeah, that's how it happened. And to add to a poem to begin with. So we never planned this conversation, to be very frank, and I'm really happy of impromptu conversations. So he began with love, so I have to keep it somewhere at love. So I also come from many cultures. Like I'm a Tanjore Maharashtrian, Maharashtrian as well as Tamilian, born and brought up in Calcutta. Worked in जनस्वास्थ्य में काम किया मैंने, छत्तीसगढ़ में, झारखंड में, तो सारे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स के साथ, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ वुमेन एंड चाइल्ड. अभी my wife is from Arunachal, married to Arunachali, living in Assam. So the multiple cultures itself kind of pushed me to write more and more. So here goes a poem probably on love, which talks about what you're saying, why we write, or something like that. எனக்கு எல்லா பாஷை தெரியாது, ஆனா அன்பு புரியும். मुझे सारी भाषाएं तो नहीं आती, पर प्यार समझ आता है. आम्ही সব भाषा জানি না, কিন্তু ভালোবাসা বুঝি. मला सगळं भाषा माहित नाहीये, पण प्रेम माहित आहे मला. Love and poetry can be found anywhere. It can be found in Kabir's dohas, Namdev and Tukaram's abhangs, Tiruvalluvar's Tirukkurals, or the Baul Geet of Bengal, or in the Bhatyali songs of Assam. Love sticks out like the tongue of a Kali. Love sticks out like the tongue of a Kali, suckles like a baby on its mother's breast, trickles like raindrops from tendrils, rolls down like beads of sweat while love-making, drives at 200 miles per hour without a seatbelt, and faints at nothing. Love and poetry faint at nothing. Love and poetry are fearless.
I may just very briefly interject. What Madhu and Siddharth do is also performance poetry, and performance poetry is very interactive. So there are moments where you will feel कि ये तो सिर्फ मैं ही सोचती थी या मैं ही सोचता था, and here's a person who's incorporated that into their poem. So you want to feel a part of it, and that's when you do something called snapping, which is what Siddharth is doing for Madhu, which lets us as performers also know that hum akele nahi hai isme, you know, and that you really connect. So at any point when they're reading or they're performing and you connect, just snap. Don't snap at them, just snap your fingers. That's there are some linguists in this audience as well. So, Madhu, there was a conversation that I did really want to have. How does one make a living from poetry?
That's a very tough question. But then in the morning there was something Professor Hamid asked, and how do you put poetry to use? And there's been so much of there's even an essay called "Who Killed Poetry," and it easily points to American professors, American universities, which is true. Because हमारी पोइट्री तो क्या है, मतलब बाउल अपना गान गा रहा है, जो मछली पकड़ने मछुआरा अपना गाना गा रहा है, सबके अपने सॉन्ग्स हैं, and everything was killed with this kind of, you know, institutionalization of poetry, which I think is again a part of my resistance. So how can we bring back the world, मतलब even Bhaja Govindam and all these things, these are poems. I mean, so religion is a lot of interpretation also, right? How I interpret what we were discussing this in the morning also, how you interpret that thing is very important. Matlab, imagine the first line of Bhaja Govindam going something like, you know, I mean, Shankaracharya just walking, Adi Shankaracharya just walking past, and a guy is doing grammar, he's learning Sanskrit, uske age mein, like 60, whatever age. The anecdote goes, and he's just going, and it is so contemporary, and we never look back to look ahead. मतलब उसमें ऐसे ही होता है कि so, and I'm coming to why I'm saying that how do we put to use, and this is very interconnected, like or even lines from poems like Bhaja Govindam. So the first line also goes like Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi rakshate dukram karane. So he's saying that old guy, when Yama will come to take you, all this grammatics of Sanskrit won't save you. And it is contemporary and applicable right now, because you are doing something in life, you are trying to find a meaning to life. And you're stressed by all this social media pressure कि अरे यार वो तो यहाँ घूम रहा है, वो तो ये कर रहा है, and there's so much competitive ego we were talking about, and all these things. When you look back the ancestry that we have, or even the line that goes like Yogiratova, Bhogiratova, Sangaratova, Sangavina, Tasya Brahmani Ramate Chetam Nandati Nandati Nandati. So he's saying that you might be आप योगी हो सकते हो, आप भोगी हो सकते हो, and this is 8th century. It's not like yesterday, day before yesterday, somebody writing. This is applicable today. आप मैं atheist हूँ, मैं ऐसा हूँ, मैं वैसा हूँ, ये क्या मतलब इतना divisions आते जा रहे हैं. So the fact that आप योगी हो सकते हो, भोगी हो सकते हो, आप संगरत हो, आप किसी के संग हो सकते हो, कम्युनिटी में रह सकते हो, आप लोनर हो सकते हो, आप साधु हो सकते हो, कुछ भी हो. आप अगर तस्य ब्राह्मणी, आप ब्रह्मांड के बारे में एक, सो व्हाट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट नाउ, आप सब मुझे बताओ, व्हाट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट नाउ? माइंडफुलनेस, कॉन्शियसनेस. यार ये तो मतलब हमारे में कब से हम कर रहे हैं, तो आज हमें मतलब पता नहीं एक ही गाय और ये किताब हमें बेच रही है, ये कह रहे कि नथिंगनेस में देखो, हमारे तो यहाँ शून्य कब से है. So the fact that when you do this, so how it is connected to making a livelihood is, I'll give you, now I'm coming, because see, poets will answer in metaphors, you like it or not, so forget anything. So why is, when we look back, what is the world going through right now? He mentioned COVID. The world needs empathy. Corporates need empathy. Insurance की रोज कॉल आ रही है, एयरटेल की, वोडाफोन की 10 कॉलें आ रही हैं, सर बजाज इंश्योरेंस, सर ये ले लो, सर वो ले लो, 10 चीज, and they have to meet targets. There are people out there who have to make a living, and they are constantly stressed. They are and how do you build this empathy? By taking arts to the corporates. भाई सुनो, तुम्हारा कॉर्पोरेटाइजेशन ठीक है, तुम्हारा हर कुछ ठीक है, टारगेट, पर लाइफ प्लान्ड नहीं होती, टारगेट नहीं होता. So you have to give them a little empathy. You can give it through poetry, interactive paintings, things like that. And one of my fellow poets in Sikkim, he's a IS, he's a DC right now, पाक्योंग डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, वो मुझे पूछ रहा था, यार तू ट्राइबल स्कूल्स में ये वर्कशॉप्स ले रहे हैं, ये बच्चे क्या लिखेंगे पोइट्री? I'm like, आप जहाँ से पोइट्री सोच रहे हो हम वहाँ जा नहीं रहे ना. We are not talking of high and low poetry. We are trying to tell them to imagine. Like imagine what is this room was. So workshops ले सकते हो, आप grants के लिए apply कर सकते हो. Like Finnish government के साथ हाल ही में मैंने एक काम किया जहाँ पे वो contemporary dancer, and this was on democracy and peace, the poems, just 4-5 poem, जिसके लिए मुझे करीबन 2 लाख रुपए मिल गए. तो मैंने बोला तो आप ग्रांट के लिए ढूंढो. You have to find a way. Nobody will come and tell you what to do. You have to look back at our culture. And those some of the poems were called Bhakti and Jnana. Like English means, so bringing your culture to English. What are you bringing to English? I am bringing my culture to English, which nobody else can. That is very good gateway to get in, because our cultures have all this empathy, mindfulness, consciousness. Our workshops